welcome to The Photography Guy. I'm your host, The Photography Guy. Let's get started here with another great photo show. Hey, yes, good morning, everybody, and welcome back once again to The Photography Guy. This is episode number 61 for Sunday, November the 2nd, 2014. I'm your host, Jack, and I'm going to help guide you through this magical world of photography. All things photography, folks. And everything in the middle of photography, right? Lighting and everything that we can do to edit our photos to make them look beautiful and give them that conversation piece that we are all looking for. First, I want to thank everybody for joining me here to allow you... Hold on, reverse that. Thanks for joining me to learn more about your camera and making great photographs. Please check out my website at thephotographyguide.net, and you can comment on these shows on that site. If you're listening to the audio podcast, you're going to want to check out the YouTube videos. Those YouTube videos can be found at 42, the number 4, the number 2, Technoman. Also, please visit my website at jtclearning.com, where you can find hours of photography training at a price you can afford. So many people out there want to have these great photo training sites, and then they want to, take your whole banking account. Well, I don't like to do that. So I made it very price efficient. Is that the word I'm looking for everybody out there? Also, if you're not on our Facebook group, well, I have to say, why not? Why aren't you on our Facebook group? You know, you should be. And on that Facebook group, you can find out more about photography. You can post your photos. I mean, folks, it's just a really great place to talk about photography. And that Facebook group is Jack's Tech Corner. So come on over and join the group. We have somewhere about 425 people, I think, at the last time I looked in there this morning. And that's a lot of people, and I'm very humbled that many people are in there, talking about photography, because everybody has tips and tricks, right? We're not all the greatest expert shutterbugs out there, but together, all of our minds and paying it forward is where it's at. I want to say good morning to our chat room this morning, and I see we got some people in there already chatting. Good morning to Vicky. Good morning to John G. And good morning to Deborah. Great to have you in there. We do have more viewers in there. Throw your name in the chat room and let me give you a shout out there this morning. The chat room is huge each week, and we do broadcast these live on a website called Livestream. So if you haven't came to our live show before, well, please do so in the mornings. Every Sunday morning, we are here at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for your viewing pleasures. Well, today we're going to talk about, as you've seen in the title, and everybody's pretty excited. I know I was too. And then everybody says, well, should I bite the bullet or should I pull the trigger and buy Photoshop Elements 13 and Premiere 13? Well, we're going to have a look at it today, and we're going to look at some of its new features. I have one that I'm calling probably the first feature I'm showing you. It's like the $1 million feature. I mean, it's really amazing how it works, and I think you're going to be excited to see that and see how it works. If you're watching the live feed and you see me turn my head to the, looks like the right here, or the left, whatever it looks like to you, that is because I'm looking at the chat room. I have the chat room on another computer here because my desktop is so full of stuff on here that you just couldn't even believe, because trying to do these live shows, it takes a lot of screen real estate to do so. So we are going to get started this morning. And one thing that Vicky actually put on Facebook this morning, and good morning to Peter. Hello to Peter in the chat room. But one thing we wanted to talk about today, and Vicky put it in the Facebook group this morning already on my Facebook post for the show, is we're going to talk a little bit about Camera Raw, because I received an email not too long ago about Camera Raw, and if it can be used with JPEG photos. So we're going to discuss that a little bit between the JPEG and the RAW camera file and what those are. So anyway, so today we're going to be having a look at the new Elements 13. And at the end of our little demonstration here, we're going to talk about should you buy it or not. You know, maybe you should keep that money in your wallet for a little bit. Maybe you don't need it today. Maybe you want to wait for. I used to go out and find it on Black Fridays, which is now like I call it Dark Thursdays. All these retailers want you to come out Thursday night now, right? Eat a big turkey dinner and go out and do some shopping. Well, that's not for us. But Black Fridays, on Black Fridays, you used to get that great deal. And I would find Elements. The one year I found Elements, and I believe it was Premier, or maybe it was just Elements. Anyway, it was like $40. So $40 for an $80 program, that was pretty good. But this time I actually bought it from Amazon. If you do buy it from Amazon, please use my link on the webpage. Go to jackstechcorner.com or thephotographyguy.net and look for the Amazon link. When you use that, then a small portion comes back to the show, and it really helps us out. So let's go ahead and change some screens over here and get started. So let me minimize this out of my way. Bring up my desktop here. And I think we'll get rid of the lower third. And that's just the little part there that you'll see on my, right here below my face right now. We're going to dissolve this over. And put this over there. All right. So here we go with Photoshop Elements 13. Now, if you've been following me on Facebook, you noticed that I was really, really excited about the organizer. Not that the organizer is going to do a whole lot more for you and, then organize your pictures. But you can see right away in this organizer that you'll notice right away that the view has changed. Now, the view changed a little bit. Now, let me show you. Let me see. I'm going to bring up the other one here, so it's going to take me just a minute to show you the difference. And actually, if you look on my computer right now, I got Elements 10, 11, 12, and 13. We're going to bring up 12. And I'm going to bring up that organizer. And we're going to resize this into this because I want to show you the difference between the two organizers and how they made this. And I'm still getting used to the look and the feel of it. And we'll talk about that in just a second here. But we're going to bring up the organizer for 12. So you're looking at the organizer 13 right now, how it has the white little lines here separating your pictures. And they're laid out a lot tighter together than what Elements 12 was. If you look at your Elements 12, you'll notice that in Elements 12, what you have is the gray area around your images. And I don't know why they did that or what they were thinking about, but the new rebuild is pretty good. So it's going to just take a minute here or a second for this catalog to load up. And we'll get that loaded. So you see here, the old one, how it has this gray images around it. Around all your images. And if you'll notice, if you look at this one in comparison, let me just shrink this down a little bit here. So this is Elements 12 on top, and this is Elements 13 on the bottom. So you can see the gray parts around here, but now look how nice and white and tight these are, right? They're all just smaller images in here. You could still resize Elements 12. You can blow these up by zooming it, right? We can zoom it up. We can zoom it down. And you can see again how the gray borders around are each image. I kind of got used to the way this thing looked, and I kind of just was able to, I think John said it right, framing. It's kind of like framed. It's weird how they did it on 12. So let's close out 12, and just close this out. And now you're going to see here in the 13 organizer, I'm going to zoom out on these pictures, and you'll see that it still stays tight together. You see how the lines are still there? It's still very tight together. If you check mark it, this is the selection. So the little check marks, if you can see those coming up on your screen, that's showing that you selected it. How many times, did you work in the organizer in 12 and it didn't check mark it? It kind of highlighted it. And you thought, well, it's highlighted, but you wasn't sure. So I'm going to uncheck these. Here's what really blew me away. I'm going to scroll my wheel on my mouse and watch. Hopefully on the video, this will show you there won't be that much delay. You'll see how fast this will move. If I move this, look how fast these pictures will move. It is so responsive. If you're using the Elements organizer, you're going to be blown away by how responsive this new organizer is. It's just incredibly quick and on the mark. So it's really, really nice. You can see how that's scrolling around there. Yeah, it looks like it's coming to you pretty good over the live stream. And there you go. So anyway, that is the organizer. And, you know, you can still go into everything you had before, the people, and you'll see, here's some people's faces that pulled up, places that you've been. So you get the map and you can pull out some places where you've been. And so you see some areas here I have of the city here of Pittsburgh, and it's placed on your map over here. So you still have your places and you still have your events. If you did any events, here's birthdays, here's July 4th. Let's go back to the media. Again, you can see that the quickness of these changing now, how responsive this is. You can still build the albums, the smart albums, everything we always built in the past. We can still see all photos, and you can still see your mobile library. So all of that stuff is still there, and it's still available to you. You can still create the stuff up here that we did before. There's a new feature called Facebook Cover, and we are going to look at that in the editor. So don't get hung up with that here. The sharing, we can share it with the private web albums, Facebook, email, Flickr. And I see SmugMug is now in there by default. For all you SmugMug users, you know they're a sponsor of the show. So if you use them, make sure you let them know that you came from Jack's Tech Corner. Twitter, Vimeo, YouTube. If you have any videos, you can burn it. So the sharing and everything is still there and still very viable to you. All right, so now we're going to talk about, before I go any further, since we're in here, and I know all these pictures I shot when I was on vacation recently, all of these pictures were shot in Camera Raw. So I'm going to talk about that now. So Camera Raw, and I'm trying to think if I have any pictures shot in JPEG. But what Camera Raw allows you to do, it allows you to do a lot of the stuff that the camera would do in the editor. So what do I mean by that? Well, simply, this is the simple fact. You can do things like change all the white balance settings, and we'll look at that, in the Camera Raw editor that comes with Photoshop Elements. It's Adobe Camera Raw, and we'll look at that in a second. And what it allows you to do is change the overall picture, the contrast and everything, much like, it's almost like a Lightroom display, I would say. And it's just really, really nice way to shoot your pictures. Now, in comparison to that, because I had an email and the gentleman said, Jack, can I open up a JPEG in Camera Raw? And the answer is no. JPEGs will not open in Camera Raw because Camera Raw, the image editor, knows that that's not a RAW format. So the RAW format for Nikon is NEF. And I'm sure the chat room can help me out. And they can tell me what it looks like, what the RAW file is for Canon. I'm not sure what the extension is for that. But I'm sure the chat room can throw it in there. Maybe help me out if you shoot Canon. Well, what we're going to talk about here, first of all, very, very simply, is we are going to go in to one of my pictures. We're going to take this tree here. I'm going to right click on it. And I'm going to go into the Full Elements Organizer. You can also go down to your toolbar and you can click on Editor. And you can bring it up in your photo editor, external editor, if you have full Photoshop or another editor loaded, or the Photoshop itself. But I just right click on it, and I'm going to go edit with Photoshop Elements Editor. And what's going to happen now? What's going to happen now is we are now in the Camera Raw editor. Now this Camera Raw, this version is 8.6. And what it allows you to do, just like I said, over here on the side, it allows you to, on the right side, is change your white balance, your temperature, your tint, exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, whites, blacks, clarity, vibrance, and saturation. Now, what Vicky was asking this morning, and I don't know the answer to this, maybe somebody in the chat room will know this, I'm not sure, but Vicky was asking is, can you open up a picture in Camera Raw again after you edit the picture? And we're going to look at that, Vicky. I think I might have the answer for you, and we're going to see if we do or not. We're going to try to figure that out. But first of all, what I want to show you here on the actual Camera Raw editor here is when we look at white balance, if this was a JPEG picture, let's just say, the only white balance option you would have is as shot and auto. But being that this is shot as a raw image, we can actually change this to anything that the camera would have seen, such as daylight, cloudy, shady or shade, tungsten, which is, we talked about that a few weeks ago, light bulb, fluorescent, which is the nasty bluing lights, right? Flash or custom. Let's just say we change this to daylight. You can see the overall picture itself now changed. The color has changed because what we're doing in essence with white balance is we're changing the overall temperature of the picture. Do it on a cloudy day. Again, you can see the difference in the color. Shade. And I always recommend going through these. You can see tungsten. Look how cool it made it. It took that temperature slider all the way down to 2850. Tungsten lighting. Fluorescent lighting. It's a little better. And flash. Now, what I suggest to people is, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago, when you're taking your pictures, try different white balance settings and see what the color is. And I know on the back of the screens on our cameras, it's very, very hard for us to actually see or see what's going on with those pictures. It's nicer once you get on the computer. So in essence, if you shoot in RAW, you got the bigger screen now here you're looking at, and then you can look at your different colors based on your different white balances. Here's auto. We're going to go back. Actually, I think daylight kind of looked the best. Now, once I do that, I can play with things such as temperature, which is just really did that with the white balance. Tint, I can move the tint back and forth, right? You can make it more green. You can bring it up, saturate it more pink. And we'll just leave it there. Exposure, we can drop the exposure down. What you're doing here is just doing some fine level adjustments. And that's why I tell a lot of people, a lot of times, I know we're looking at Elements 13 today, but a lot of times Lightroom is a overall very quick editor for me. And we can't do big edits like we're going to be looking at today in Elements. But what we can do is we can adjust for exposure, contrast, highlights. All this stuff is in Lightroom, plus a lot more actually. So contrast, highlights, you can play with your highlights. You can bring your highlights down. You see it up here in the trees. If you look on the right, you'll see in the trees itself. And we can bring these highlights back up. We can blow them out. You can see at the top of these trees right up here at the top, in between where the light's coming through, the sunlight is what we're playing with there with the highlights. So I'll bring the highlights down maybe. You can drop those down. So we're getting a better looking picture. Your shadows you can play with, and the shadows is naturally your shadows, anywhere the shadowed areas are. Your whites are back again with the whites. So anywhere there's whites, blacks, we can bring the blacks up or turn the blacks down. I like to bring my blacks down a little bit to make the picture look a little bit more bold, I guess, when I drop the blacks. The clarity, you can bring your clarity up. You can bring it down. The clarity, look at the color in the trees if you guys can see it on the video. You can see how the clarity is changing in the trees itself. The vibrance, we can bring it more vibrance. And then the last thing is my favorite, saturation. Okay? Here's a trick with saturation. Don't oversaturate your pictures. When you do, especially when there's people involved, when you oversaturate a picture, you start to get a lot of color blending. And the color blending is when somebody looks at something, especially somebody's facial tones, and they're super red or something to that effect, or super white. If you have somebody that, needs a tan and you do some oversaturation, you're going to start bringing out their really, really milky white skin. once we're done with all this, you would go down and click Open Image. Before I do, let's go up here and talk just a little bit about the top little toolbar we didn't mention. There's a Move tool where you can move the picture around, and this picture is full editing here, so we can't move it. There's an eyedropper. What that eyedropper allows you to do is to find something white on your picture, and it will adjust the color balance based on that white. That's a custom white balance. I see a little white thing on top of this flower. I'm just going to click on that. And then you can see it actually, well, that really didn't help us at all, did it? So we will go back here, and I'll just go back to daylight and get my picture back the way I had it. The next thing we have here is a cropping tool where we can crop out the picture. And we have a straightening tool where we can straighten it. A red eye removal tool. The Open Preferences dialog here, you have that. And then we have a rotate and a rotate. All right, so once you get your picture set up the way you want it, we're going to open up in the full editor. Now, to open it in the full editor, all we got to do is click on Open Image. This is the editor for Elements 13. It didn't change much. And there it is. So all those adjustments we just made in the raw image file has now been brought out to life. Now, Vicky's question, can you reopen this picture in the Camera Raw program? And it looks like it saved it, Vicky. It opened it as an NEF file. So I know that is a raw image. I'm going to right click on it. I don't see anything there. Edit. I don't really see anything there. And I don't see anything up here that tells me I can reopen it. But what you can do, when you save this file out, some developers out there, some places like your Walmart, your Kinko's, Office Max, wherever you get your pictures developed, SmugMug, Shutterfly, some of them will accept a raw image. Most of those want a JPEG image for you to print. So if you save this thing out, let's see here. So if we do a save as, we're going to see if the raw image is in here. And I don't see the raw image in here. So if you change it to a BMP, JPEG, you're not going to be able to reopen that image. But if you simply just go up and you click on save, yep, it's going to want to do it the same way. So I don't see anywhere where it's going to save it as that raw image. So we may be out of luck. If somebody has that answer out there, I'd like to hear from you. I would really like to hear it and see, you know, or find out what that answer is. Can you reopen that image back in? Now, as long as you don't destroy the base image, Vicky, you can always reopen that regular image from your organizer back into that, into the photo raw editor. Okay. So now we're going to start and we're going to talk about the editor itself and show you some of these new features that I think is pretty amazing. And they work extremely well. The first one I'm going to show you, I'm not going to save it to the last. I thought about it. I said, nah, I think I'll do it first. I think I'll share it to you first. And we're going to share this one for you. And this is my $1 million tool. This is the tool that's going to save you so much time and effort that you're just going to go, wow, that's really a good tool. Here's what we're going to do. We are going to go back. I got my images laid out here. Because, you know, a good person that does this stuff live, you know, we have to practice a little bit. So I set all these up this morning, the images I wanted to use, and play around with you. And we're going to show you how these tools work. The first thing we're going to do is, as always, we're going to duplicate our image. So we're going to do either Command or Control J. And we're going to duplicate the image. And we're going to work on that so we don't ruin that base image. So here I have a picture, obviously, of a courthouse. And it looks like a courthouse, right? I hope it does. I shot this, you know, with a wide-angle lens 2 days ago. That's not true. Look at the snow, folks. No, I shot this last year, actually. Last winter, we took a ride into our local city, and I took the camera just to take some winter pictures. I'm not the biggest winter photographer in the world, I can tell you that. And the reason that is because I don't like the cold. All right, so what we're going to look at first here is we are going to remove something out of this picture. And I tried this before in the old Elements. People know that I've always been a big fan of the clone stamp tool, the spot healing tool. I love those tools to get rid of things. But wonder if I want to get rid of something bigger, and such as this car, this bail bondsman's car sitting in front of the courthouse. I guess he was ready for all the new prisoners coming in, thinking he's going to make some money for the day. Well, we're going to do this and make it very, very simple with this new tool. So if I go on my lasso tool, we're going to lasso this car right here. So I'm going to just go to the car and just make a selection around the car. It doesn't have to be as pretty as, whatever. And we're just going to come up. It doesn't have to be right on the car. It could be around it a little bit there. And we're just going to make a selection around it. Now with that selection, we want to get rid of that car. We used a clone stamp. We used to use the spot healing brush, and there would be blotches there, and it would look kind of silly. But what we're going to do now is go under the Edit menu, and we're going to go to Fill Selection. So Elements 13 has a new thing called Content Aware Fill. What Content Aware does is it looks around that selection to see what kind of content it is. It makes itself aware and then fills in whatever's selected, because we're filling the selection, right? We're filling the layer. So at that point, Content Aware, we're going to click OK. And if everything works the way it should, we'll see here in a minute. You can now see that that car has been Content Aware filled. The car is gone. Hit your Command or Control D and deselect it, and now the car is no longer there. It actually builds the snow in. It built the wall back in here, so it kind of made its best guess selection. Now you can always clean that up anytime you want, very simply. Let's look at the cars here, and now the car is not. Again, the car is there, and now the car is not. It even built the wall back here. See that white thing going down in the back, sir? If you can see that way in the back, it actually built it down. And Vicky was saying, could it be under the filter menu? We were talking about that raw editor, and Jody was talking about the same thing. So let's pop back here for a second. But that's the Content Aware Fill. This is the NEF file, and you said under filter. I don't really see it under filter anywhere. So no, I don't see it under there. This will be something I'll have to get back to you on, though, guys and girls out there, and we'll talk about that some more. All right, so the next tool, but that's my $1 million tool. I really love that tool right there. How it just got rid of that object there with no effort whatsoever, and now it made my picture, worth having. All right, go back to my photo bin. And now we're going to talk about here is something called inside stroke. Now, what inside stroke does, this is for all my folks out there that really like to do scrapbooking. So scrapbooking, we know we lay out a layer. We created a new layer here, a background layer. I just filled it black. You could fill with any color you want. You can watch my videos on YouTube. I have a bunch of them, how to do these things. I've usually called them collages. So if you want to look for collages, you can see those. I've also called them picture-in-picture. But ordinarily, when we build these things, we get these rounded edges on our pictures. Go back to my selection tool. But what we want to do now is we want to make these a square, right? Straight edge on these pictures. Well, we can do it now very simply. If you go up under the Layer menu, and we go to Layer Style, and then Style Settings. What you're looking for here is under stroke, excuse me, under stroke, what you're looking for now is it's set to outside. That's where we get that rounded edge there. We're going to now change it to inside. And when we do that, now you'll see a really nice squared off edge. Does anybody remember my videos where we made our pictures into Polaroids? Well, it did that just with a few little clicks of the mouse, but it made for a square edge instead of this round edge. Again, you click on your picture, go up to Layer, Layer Style, Style Settings, and again, under Stroke, we're going to just simply change this to Inside, and it squares it off. So again, a really, really great tool there, really easy to use. And, it's not that difficult to do that thing. And, a lot of this stuff is playing around with, the editor and getting in there and kind of learning a little bit about the editor and getting the feel for the editor. And that way you can start to make, those conversation pieces that's hanging on your wall. That's what we want to be able to do. So the next thing, how many times have you cropped the picture out and you said, geez, I don't know if this crop's going to look right. I don't know if it's going to fit in an 8x10 frame. Maybe I want to do a padding, 11x14 padding with an 8x10 behind it. Well, now Elements has made it so much easier. I'm going on the bottom here to switch these things. We're going from Tool Options to Photo Bin. The Photo Bin, if you're not familiar with Elements, is the photos on the bottom that I'm working with today. The Tool Options is whatever tool we're working with. So we're going back to Photo Bin. I'm going to open up this next group photo. So this is a group photo we took on vacation. This was a great group. I think I told you about a couple weeks ago that we met. This is a very large family from Australia with the two older folks in the back, and they are from the state of Washington. And then you have myself and my wife on the left. You see us standing there with our group. But I don't know if I like all the background. I definitely don't like that exit sign there. So maybe I want to do some cropping on this picture. Well, I could just use my crop tool and just crop like we always do and just make a selection around there and make a crop. Or I can use Elements 13 New Crop Suggestions. So crop suggestions, just if you move your mouse over the bottom, it allows you to see the crop before it happens. And it gives you different crop ranges. So look at this one, then look at this one. It's tighter. This one is using the rule of thirds. It's moving it to the right a little bit. And then there's another more or less centered one. If we like any of those, just all you got to do is click on the check box or just click on the crop itself to make that selection or make that crop. Here's what I told you was kind of neat. So you have these suggestions, but we can also look at sizes. So if I look at my sizes, if you do no restrictions, it's going to give you different crop sizes. There's no restrictions of size. You can see the rule of thirds. It pushed it to the right, leaving my beautiful exit sign I don't want anyway. And then it's moving it to the left a little bit more, giving it that rule of thirds. But folks, here's what's really cool. I can now change this and say I want it cropped because I want to print this at 5x7. And it will crop it so it'll fit either in that 5x7 frame or so it will fit into the padding. So you know what padding is, right? Padding is when we have a white frame and we put our picture inside. So it's padded inside. It just looks a lot nicer in your house when you do a little bit of padding. That helps. There's another second suggestion. There's my third suggestion. And there's my fourth suggestion. Now, if you click on one of those, you can move this around also. You do have this option to move this thing around. So maybe you don't really want it there. You know, remember my exercise? I don't want any of that exercise. So I just drag it over a little bit. And there it is. Now maybe I want to go with this one. And again, I can drag it over. I can pull it around and see where I want it. So there you go. So that's easy. So wonder if we wanted to use double tools. Hey, let's try this. Let's say I did this, but my wife's purse or bag that she carried was over here on the left. So I'm going to check this and say that's where I want it cropped. But hey, there's a bag there. I can crop a little bit more, but I really want that rock over there. Let's go ahead and use that tool we introduced you to in the beginning opening segment here. So I'm going to make my lasso tool around there, make that selection. Go to Edit, Fill Selection, Content Aware. And now I'm using two tools together. Control D and the bag is gone, and it's really, it's all blended together and everything's perfect. So there you have it with that. I mean, it's a very nice tool, and it's a very great way to do some cropping. Now, let's go to the next one here. The next one I want to tell you about is very easy to do, and this is for your Facebooks. This is for your Facebook. Your Facebook at the top, Photoshop Elements is starting to get more and more into social media. First of all, they allowed us to share to Facebook, Twitter, but now they're helping you to enhance your Facebook pages. So many of our Facebooks out there are mainly meant for family to view and to share our photographs of our kids, our grandkids, or whatever, with our family members. So they allow you to create a Facebook title that goes right on the top. It'll be perfectly sized and it'll look absolutely perfect. So here it is. It's very easy to do. But before I want to show you that, I want to show you, go up under Create. And let me go back here. Let's go back to this picture here. All right, now we'll go under Create. And it's right here, Facebook cover. So I'm going to click on that just to show you how easy it is to create this thing. Click OK on that. Little dialog box. Now they have a bunch of templates in here. This is the Facebook cover creator. This is multiple photo themes. You can see what's that. Clean, Memories is the one I just had up. My Book. And all this stuff, you can edit this stuff on these things. So these are just templates to get you going. And you have single photo templates. Now, right now, there's only a couple where you can add a photo and see how they blend them together. It's pretty cool. So it creates a photo stacked image. We talked about that on a YouTube video at one time. So I used the memory one. So I just took this one and I clicked OK. It's going to generate the page. And there it is. Now, it's very easy to add more pictures. It put that first picture on there because that's what I had selected in my photo bin. That's why I put that in there. But what we're going to do now is we are going to add another photo. So I'm going to take a picture of my daughter here that I took for her, her senior pictures. And I'm going to simply drag it up and just drop it where it says click and drop a photo here. It's going to put that into that little photo container. And at the very top, you have the adjustments. And if you've created any books or cards or they all work the same, you can change the size of the photo just by moving this around. So we can bring her up a little bit more maybe. We can reposition it. Once you're done, click the checkbox. Now we're going to go back to our photo bin on the bottom. And we're going to bring up another picture. We're going to grab this one and we're going to throw it over on this kid here. And there you have it. Again, we can stretch it out. We can push it out or we can pull it in. We can bring her up closer, put her back, move it to the left or right here, and click the little checkbox. Once you're done, this is really cool. This is one of those $500 upgrades. There's an upload button where if you click that, you can preview it and you will upload it to your Facebook. So there's not a whole lot of work with this. Or you can just save it and then you can upload it on your own if you feel so inclined. If you feel a little bit tech savvy and you can upload banners to your Facebook page, that is how you would do that. It's very, very simplistic to do. So that is our new Facebook creator. Very handy, very cool. Let's go back here. What we're going to talk about now is a new selection tool. We all love new tools in Elements, and Elements brings out some great new tools with every version. So we are going to bring this picture up. If you've never went here, this is in a place called Sugar Creek, Ohio. And Sugar Creek, Ohio, I'm going to actually take that there. Sugar Creek, Ohio is an Amish community. So you can go there and get Amish food. That's what I go for. You can get Amish food. You can get Amish goods. You can get all kind amazing knick-knack, paddywhack, give your dogs a bone. Now, if you've never seen that, I refer to that as being all the crafts, the artsy stuff that people love. Guys, if you see all these chairs in front of this store, these are the man chairs. And I say that because that's where the men, usually, I sit there also. I'll sit there and you get to talk to all the other men. As all of our women are in shopping, that's not being sexist. I'm just telling you the truth. Because there's a lot of knick-knack, paddywhack, give your dog a bones in there. And it seems like the women really like to get in there and purchase stuff. All right. But what I'm going to show you with this picture is something fantastic, great, and unbelievable. Let's create another layer there. So I did a Command or Control J. But I'm going to show you the new selection tool. So we're going to go up here to my selection. And we're going to make a selection around this shrub right here at the lower. Yep. Nope. Matter of fact, I'll do it in the middle. We're going to make a selection around this flower here. So I'm going to make a selection around this flower, just like so. And there's my selection. What I'm going to show you here is down in the bottom. I should have used the selection. That's all right. But down in the bottom, there's a new push and a smooth tool. The push tool, if you get closer to this, allows us to start pushing this selection in a little more and redefining your selection. If I make a bigger, you can actually push this in. That's a little bit too big. The brush size is a little bit too big there. And let's see where we're at now here with this. Just catching up here on the live stream. And then you can also smooth it. So smoothing it just allows you to smooth the selection and make it even tighter around the actual object. Now you can also still use the old tools and the way I've been doing it for years. We're going to deselect that by hitting Command or Control D. And we will use a selection tool here. And then we can still use it and make the selection just like we used to. And then when you make your selection, you know that we can refine edges. And we can actually refine the edge itself just by moving our sliders in and out. But that's the new tools I wanted to show you was the push tool and the smooth tool. Again, the push tool and the smooth tool, you can actually push these things down a little bit on and make it even tighter into your area. So it's just more tools that you can use, something else that you can go by and use. And trying to see why my laptop actually died here. Can't really see anything going on. The battery's dead, of course. Okay, so we showed you that one. And now we're going to show you just a couple more little features. And let's go back to my photo bin. Here's an arrangement that I did at a wedding some time ago. I want to show you a couple new guided edit tools in here. And the first one we're going to look at is called Black and White Color Pop. Now what Black and White Color Pop allows you to do is click on any of the color presets below to highlight that color in your image. So we're going to click on red because I see red on these flowers. And you can see now how those popped and everything else became desaturated. Now, desaturating, you know, makes things black and white. That's what it does. So it did that. It took everything else and desaturated it. We can do just the yellows. You can see now where the yellow is actually out and everything else is desaturated. You can do the blues. I don't know if there's any blues in that flower or not. No, doesn't appear to be. So everything was unsaturated. But let's go back to red. You can select a custom area if you want a different area to be selected. You can refine your effect. You can add. So maybe we want to add some more. We're going to make a brush size a little bigger using my right bracket key. You can add some, maybe you want these yellow flowers to be in, right? Maybe you want those to be actually brought out also. And sometimes, folks, be careful when you do this stuff. If you're doing weddings or you're doing senior portraits or engagement pictures, I see this a lot on, don't overdo this effect. I see one photographer use it on every other picture that they did. And to me, that's overusing an effect. Effects are only effective, and it's only going to be a selling tool if you give them a little bit. If you do it all over the place, they're going to say, wow, that must take you 3 seconds to do that. And it's not going to make that picture worth as much as if you only do a few. We can subtract. Again, we can take that yellow off. I'm going to open up my brush size. I can take that yellow off of there. Maybe I don't want that flower now, so I'll subtract that out of there. And take that out. The size of the brush and the opacity of the coloring. You can increase your overall saturation just by clicking on the button at the bottom. And it looks like, unfortunately here, let me see here. Try to move this over a little bit here, off of here. There's a button right on the bottom here that says increase saturation. So if you click on that, and you can click on as many times as you want. I've seen this morning playing with this. And it allows you to increase that saturation even more. So you can make it even more saturated. All right, so that's that little trick. And it's very easy to do. You can click cancel on this and go back out of here. The next one that they added was under the black and white. They added some new stuff in here with select a black and white preset. You can do light. You can do lighter. You can do dark and darker. You can do light, and then you're going to add a diffuse glow. So there's a big glow. You can see the extra reflections, I guess it is, in those candles. So there's big glow on that. You can remove any of the glow, like if you want to take something off or make a bigger brush size here, maybe so you can see it. You can see here, I can tone that back down. I can take the glow maybe off that glass, but everything else will have that diffused glow on it, right? So we can do something like that. You can increase your overall contrast. And again, this is one of those buttons that you can click as many times as you want. You see that flower's getting darker? I'm over contrasting it for the effectiveness of this video. Click on cancel. All right. So that is the new black and white preset and the new black and white color pop. What we're going to do now is I want to go into the quick menu. So let's go into the quick. And I'm clicking on the tabs at the top of the screen, the little buttons, quick, guided, and expert. Now under here, under your effects menu, they've added a bunch of different effects so you can put onto your picture. These are really, really nice and handy and easy to use. If I click the little pull down menu, say on seasons, and you're going to see where it's going to give me different, as soon as those light up here, we can use those. And it's going to give me different color contrast for that picture. So if I click on one of those, it's going to overall change the overall appearance of that picture and just give it some more pop. So those are just some really quick editing tools. And folks, no matter how, let me say it one more time again, no matter how good you get at editing, use the guided edit every now and then, use the quick edit, because those are just nice tools that's built into Photoshop Elements. You paid good money for these tools. And if you're always doing it in expert mode, which is great, it's great that you're an expert, but sometimes you're going to find quick tips in there or guided tips that's going to guide you through it and make it very, very easy for you to do this stuff. All right, so that takes us to, yeah, we're doing good on time here. We are going to go back here just real quick. I'm just going to look in the thing here and see if anybody's chatting in there. Nope, nothing there. I do want to tell you just real quickly, and I'm going to move this, move me out of the way here again. I did want to show you real quickly that I've been working on this site a lot, so I did want to share that with you because so many people say, Jack, what the heck is JTC Learning? Well, JTC Learning, I used to sell DVDs online. Everybody knows that. And, but the DVD is going away. So I still wanted to bring you great learning and bring it very affordable, but I had to find a new way to deliver it. So I created the online courses at jtclearning.com. So if you come to this page and you go up under courses and go to photography, you'll see that there's a Photoshop Elements 12 course in here. There's currently 12 people taking the course. I want to thank those folks if you're watching the show. But if you click on that, you'll go through, and these are all videos that I created. This is all my creation. You get 50 videos, 50 Photoshop Elements 12 videos for $40. So it's less than, whatever that works out to be. Pretty cheap, right? Less than $1 a video. I mean, that's pretty inexpensive. And since you're watching this show, I'm going to tell you a secret. If you sign up and use the coupon code JTC5, you'll get $5 off. But any one of these, if you click on one of these, you get the video player, and then you just play the video. So it's very easy to do. So, and again, all the videos, all the lessons stay over here. Once you sign up, I never take you off. So if you ever want to come back and get a refresher on something, you'll be good to go. So all the courses are there. Have a look through those. Maybe you want to sign up for those today. Once again, that's at jtclearning.com. Okay, folks, so I hope that you received some good training this morning. And I'm sorry, Vicki, we couldn't find that actual part there where we talked about the bringing the image back up in the raw editor. But hey, well, I will keep looking. I'll keep trying to find that for you. If I do find it, you know what? I'll make a YouTube video and I'll put that up on YouTube somewhere and we'll get that going for you. So anyhow, I want to thank everybody for tuning into this show. I also want to thank the people that's listening to me on iTunes, downloading my podcasts. If you don't know what a podcast is, hey, you know what? A podcast is a radio show with very few, limited, or probably most of us doing with no commercials. And the podcast is an audio show, so you can listen to it in the car. So you listen to the show in the car and you say, oh man, Jack talked about Elements 13 and he showed a selection tool. Then you go to YouTube and you scrub through and you find that section that I talked about it and you watch that part of the video. So it's a nice way to do it. If you do listen to this on iTunes, please comment and give me a rating because that helps to lift our shows up and more people can find it and view it. I did show you jtclearning.com and how the Photoshop Elements 12 course is online. A lot of you are in there, and I do thank you very much for signing up. If you say, well, I don't really have high-speed internet. I can't watch videos too well on the internet. You can buy that DVD also. I still have it available. Go to jackstechcorner.com, and you'll see it says Photoshop Elements 12. And for the folks out there buying Elements 13, I showed you today the highlights of Elements 13, some of the highlights of the new changes, the major additions they created. So if you take the Elements 12 course or you get the DVD and watch today's show, then you have the whole new one. Will I be creating a new course for Elements 13? It's quite possible, and I'm thinking about that. I can't tell you that to be definite right now. So, let's see. That's it. I told you about the coupon code, right? JTC5, JTC5. And also, don't forget about that Amazon link. Folks, if you buy cleaning products, if you buy a pool filter, if you buy anything on Amazon.com, please go to thephotographyguy.net or jackstechcorner.com and use my link Your price doesn't change. Your price stays exactly the same. And a small contribution comes back to these shows and helps to pay for everything. I just had to purchase. I just told my wife the other day, I had a very basic web hosting service. I just had to pay the increases to get unlimited web hosting to get all this content up on there because they were starting to block my content because I was over my usage limits. So that money kind of helps to pay for that kind of stuff. See, there is added cost to this. But folks, I'm going to go back one more time, look at the chat room. So overall, there's a good question from John G. And I didn't address that yet, John. Thank you very much for stopping me. My overall views is, should you actually buy Photoshop Elements 13 or should you wait for Elements 19 or 15 or whatever? If you've seen today's overall presentation, you said, well, I like the $1 million tool. I mean, that tool alone will save me a ton of time. And I like the new organizer. I like the speed of it. I like the responsiveness of it. So if you're using Elements 12 and you're still happy and it's doing what you should do with it, then no, don't. If you're using Elements 12 and every time you scroll the wheel in the organizer, you're like, I wish this thing was faster, then yes, buy Elements 13. I will tell you folks this, honestly, if it was me, I buy things early because I teach it, obviously, right? I'm here to bring stuff to you folks. But honestly, it could be a wait to buy. So what I mean by wait to buy, you could wait until you can find on sale. Look at Amazon. Just keep watching Amazon. You will find a deal on Amazon and then buy it then when it looks like it's low enough. So hopefully, John, that answered your question. So folks, thank you very much for watching me here on Sunday morning. Join me next Sunday where we will be talking about the joys of space photography. I made that up. That's not true. Scratch that. Rip that. Reverse it. Take it back. We'll talk about something about photography, I'm sure. If you have any ideas or something you want from an upcoming show, email me at jackstechcorner@gmail.com or put it on my Facebook wall at Jack's Tech Corners, the Facebook group. And say, Jack, it'd be kind of neat to learn this. Can you put a show together? Do it early, though. Do it before, I'd say, Wednesday, so I have time to push a show together for Sunday morning. Folks, thank you so much for joining me here. I will talk to you next week on another The Photography Guy. Take care. Always remember, keep those shutters clicking. Keep your editors editing. And I'll see you back here next week for The Photography Guy. Take care, everybody, and I will be talking to you then. And so long. Thanks for tuning into The Photography Guy. I am a photography guy, and I'll be here once again next time for more photography tips and tricks. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the show and enjoy the music.